Rouse here from Set to Close. Thanks for joining me. One of the big questions that I get a lot in sales is, hey, my sales team is down. How do I remotivate them? How do I get them going again? How do I make things move? First off, you have to look at why is that failing. So it's either systems, processes, amount of leads coming in, and it could just be you're in a slump. And it could have something to do with the market. We don't want to blame the market ever. So how do we improve things? Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to jump in and say, hey, are the leads coming in? So are the sales channels solid? So you rectify those sales channels as soon as possible. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to jump in and you're going to look at systems. Are the systems A, B, are they looking good? Do they make sense? Do they flow well? Are your sales teams supported to have a high level of cadence? If they're not doing enough tasks, you're not going to get enough results. So you're looking at increasing frequency of tasks as much as possible. The third thing you're looking at doing is making sure that there's good leadership there. Are you giving them the support, the coaching, the skill set, the training that they need to move that sale from A to B to C? Some people, they're great hunters and great opening of opportunities, but terrible closers. And all of us have different skill sets, and sometimes segmenting your team into a predictable revenue model in terms of setter, closer, customer success, inside sales, in that kind of bracket makes sense. So as a predictable revenue, call it sales development rep, account executive, and then customer success. Now, to narrow down a couple of things, what I do personally is I like to jump in and do calls beside people. I believe that the old-fashioned leaders lead from the front is the most important thing. So when you want to win with other people, you want to jump in with them. So what does this look like? From day to day, what we want to do is make sure that we create an environment where people know that we're not asking them to do things that we wouldn't do as sales leaders ourselves. The toughest thing to try to get a sales team to accept is that you want them to do something that you can't produce yourself. So you have to test frequencies that actually produce results. For saying, hey, I've given you channels, I've given you this, and sales aren't happening. Well, maybe it's how you're approaching the sales. Maybe the product market fit's not right. There's a lot of things that could be going on. Maybe the market has shifted, which happens so often in sales. But most teams and most people aren't equating for that measure. It's a difficult and hard question. How do I get us out from a slump? How do I move us in motivation? And there's no one simple answer. It's all those different elements you have to consider. But the tried, tested fashion of winning comes from that lead from the front mentality. So go out there and kind of lead from the front and you end up on top. The next thing is I like to do is understand why deals aren't closing if they're getting to that portion. A lot of the time, it can be how we're setting up our timing. Maybe we're trying to push velocities too hard. A lot of SaaS companies make a big mistake trying to do month-end pushes instead of looking at quarterly cadences. This is a big deal because customers feel encumbered and they feel like they're not being respected in the process. They're just becoming a person that's getting pushed to sale. So you have to make sure, especially in B2B, where we specialize in, that this isn't happening. In B2C, it's a different game. But in the B2B world, we're looking to make sure that customer experience is the best, that we've laid out their customer journey from A to Z, and they understand how they're going to equate the value from what we do. After you put those in place, then you're just testing each education level to bring that buyer to the awareness state that you're looking for. So every time we're building a motivation track for a sales team, we're trying to be conducive with the elements that we have. So again, consider systems, process, the people you have within it, from leadership to actual people in what seats do you have them. Sometimes we have a customer success rep who should be in a hunter role inside that sales development rep role. Sometimes we have a sales development rep who should be an account exec role. They're just misaligned and their skill factors haven't been taken into account. So a lot of the times when we're designing teams, we're trying to foresee this and get ahead of it. The way we do that is psychometric testing. We also have really good intentional case studies we have people perform, and we ask people to build reports when they first come into our company based on some certain books. So some of the things that we like to do is we like to hire people with high level of ownership and a high level of vision for their life. We find that people with great vision for their life and high levels of ownership for task and for what they're doing for themselves produces the results that can bear a lot of fruit in the long run. The key question is, how do I maintain that motivation once I have it? And that's that you're always feeding it. You never stop feeding your dog. Why do you stop feeding your sales team? And this is, you think about how we feed like our own pets. We'll keep the dog in there. We walk the dog. We feed the dog. We pet the dog. So that's emotional care. That is physical care and financial care. We're doing everything to take care of them at the same time. So if you're thinking about that, well, you have to do the same thing for your sales team. You have to get them leads and good opportunities. That's just something you have to structure a marketing program, an outbound cadence, work on your channeling to produce those consistent results where they feel like, wow, I have some level of control. Once they feel out of control and they can't produce the results that you want, motivation will tumble really, really quickly. So solidifying that is very important. So that's one of the forms of support that you can add. The second is, do they have an outlet to be able to say, hey, these are my roadblocks, and have people consistently working on solutions with them? So this is where we have a marketing meeting where management, sales, marketing all come together. And what we're trying to do is solve the issues, the roadblocks in the program, and provide more leads for the individual. And we also have service level agreements in between sales and marketing. So we stop any interpolitics from happening, and we just have hard data to push both these teams together in unison as a combined effort. Now, when you're looking at overall process flow, what you have to do is, if you've designed your sales process correctly, to keep that motivation high, you know your entrance and exits from each point, and you know your criterias, and you're evaluating that data, and you're saying, hey, things are stopping here. And then you can say, hey, I can evaluate this part of the cycle, because when salespeople are winning, they're highly motivated. If you have good data, you have a good process, you can dial right into that and you can fix it in short order. The next thing is, how to add fuel to the fire. Well, the quintessential ways to win on a sales team is to simply look at adding a high performer. No one likes to lose. So if you already have competitive powerhouses on your team, I would suggest going to get another one and compete them. Even if you don't have the best system and you're working on it, you're always going to be improving that, because that's going to be the greatest turnover tool in your business. That is what I want you to focus on, is adding great people to your elements. We went over a ton here, a lot of motivational tactics, a lot to do with systems and process, but as I said, like, it's an ecosystem with different levers, and it's a systems thinking environment when you look at sales, when you look at motivation, when you look at what doing. But if you're in absolute doubt, get in and grind beside your salespeople, make calls, show them what you can do. Do you know guys like Mark Cuban and Kevin O'Leary, they jump into sales teams all the time and show them what they can do. They're making the calls. Now, when a billionaire is calling you, of course, you're paying attention, so it's a little bit easier, but they do it. They side by side with their teams. And if they're multi-billionaires doing it, never think yourself too high and mighty to jump right in, because sales is the lifeblood of every organization. And that's why we exist, to create great systems and jobs and provide the most value to the people you serve and the people we serve. And that's the contingency of being great entrepreneurs, moving ahead in lockstep and progressing this world and making it better, which is one of the highest values here at Set to Close, which is progress, leaving things better than we found it. And the second is, we truly believe to motivate a sales team is you never walk alone. So that's the second value here at Set to Close. And that means that no matter where you are, if you're a salesperson or operations person, we live and we die together as a team. And we got to be able to know how to support each other. So part of our onboarding program is, how do we take weight off that person? And when one part of our organization is failing, how do other people jump in and help that individual improve? And that community around them, we find that community effect of being enveloped by a team that shows care, consideration, compassion for everybody on it at any time, and no one's more important than the other person, provides a level of, first off, certainty, clarity, and drive for that individual, because they're driving for the community, the team, the vision of what you're doing with your impact at your company. And that vision is also something that drives motivation. We have a big missional goal here at Set to Close, and I'll bear that in another video. But when you're clear on these things in your company, your vision, your impact, where you're going, people follow it definitely with more passion. And if your motivation is low, that could be a problem as well. But if in doubt, again, I'm going to cycle back and say, lead from the front. Lead from the front, get your hands dirty, and go make good things happen. I want to thank everyone for joining me today. I'm out here in beautiful Tobiano, British Columbia. You can see a lake in the mountains in the background behind me. Blessed enough to live this remote lifestyle and provide you guys with constant value through videos. But, you got to go build that life that you want. And nowadays, sales especially, give your people freedom, allow them to live outside, make sure that they have balance equation in their life. Make sure that you're willing to pour into them when they need to be poured into. Too many people just view them as a revenue mover, a revenue driver, and that's where a lot of people fail. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate all of you. If you have any questions, please just submit a form on our website, and we'll be in contact. Thanks so much.